everyone, we are here at Better Place Forests in Rock River, Illinois, one of 9 locations for this company that offers a sustainable option for those that have been cremated that don't want a cemetery, but want a final resting place for their loved one. So we are going to go tour the forest and learn about Better Place Forests from the general manager here, Jimmy. So we are here up at the Welcome House. And this here is the general manager. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Westenberg, the general manager of Better Place Forests Rock River.
And it's so pretty. He's going to give us a tour. And as we're touring, we're going to talk more about what Better Place Forest really is. Give us a little backstory here.
So we started our Better Place Forests Rock River location in, I would say 2021. We purchased the property in 2020. Then we kind of set up shop here, inventoried all of the trees in our forest. We set up beautiful locations like this memorial table on the river. And we were open for online sales only, just kind of a soft launch in 2021. And starting in 2022, beginning of 2022 is when we began inviting people out to the forest and actually hosting in-forest memorials.
And you have, like on the website, there's specific trees, like there's this tree and it's this much if you want the rights to be with this tree. Mm-hmm. What if I'm walking through the forest and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my tree, and it's not maybe one listed? Do you just come up with a price for that tree?
That's a good question. We can work with you on that. If that is really kind of absolutely your tree.
Like my heart wants that tree, you know?
I am not going to say no to that. Just know that it does require a little bit more legwork. We do need to measure the tree and check for diseases. And, we're not going to sell you a tree that is unhealthy or has a disease or shows signs of major stress. We want your tree to live as long as possible, and we don't want to sacrifice on kind of the quality that we've established.
And when I'm purchasing the rights.
That's correct.
Just like a cemetery. So cemeteries, you're not actually purchasing the grave space. You are purchasing the right to bury someone on that grave space.
Exactly.
You don't own it. You own the rights. Mm-hmm. Same here. So they can come out and then place the cremated remains around the tree. Mm-hmm. They're not burying them though.
That's correct.
Why?
Because we are not licensed as a cemetery. We are not able to bury ashes or bury bodies out here. We are strictly spreading them in a quadrant at the base of the tree, and we'll see more about that later.
Okay.
So this is our welcome area. This is kind of where the first touch point is for anybody that comes to our forest. Whether you are just checking out the forest, such as yourself today, or if you are just a visiting family member coming in for a family member's memorial, we usually gather around here. We have restrooms, we have plenty of snacks and drinks, lots of seating, we even have air conditioning. It's not exactly like this at all 9 of our Better Place forests across the United States. However, we were lucky enough to find this wonderful property with this house, and we've kind of turned this into our welcoming area. It really kind of depends on, what the setting is. Some of our forests are a little bit more on the outskirts of civilization. So we have beautiful glamping tents that you can kind of find a little respite in. So these are just a handful of the Better Place Forest community members in our Rock River Forest. These are the ones that have been gracious enough to sign the photo release waiver, and so we can use their photos in our welcome area. But this is a good mixture of people who we've had in the forest through all different walks of life. Whether they're pre-planning, lots of pre-planners here, people who are just here to check something off of their list, that daunting to-do list for their end-of-life plans. But there are also some people here that have chosen a memorial tree that are either holding ashes or are about ready to say goodbye to one of their loved ones. So you can kind of take a look around and see, lots of smiling faces. We do have quite a lot of pets here as well. This is definitely a pet-friendly environment. Actually, most of the people on here have little pets with them. But yeah, this is for, I think this is very clearly defined in these photos here that, we have a lot of single people here, but we also have families. This is a really interesting take on, literally creating a family tree for a group of people in our forest.
So as we're touring around, I'm going to ask questions. So kind of tell us how people can pre-plan or do at need. What does that look like? Are they driving up to the door here? Are they calling? Are they submitting something online to inquire about this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So most of the first touch points with people who are interested in Better Place Forest go to our website first, betterplaceforest.com. You can either sign up to learn more via email. You can call one of our advisors. You can even find my direct forest phone number here if you want to reach the Rock River Forest specifically. I always recommend that people at least have a short phone call first. Better Place Forest is a very new idea in the industry and for most people coming here. So what we want to do is not have any surprises. We don't want somebody to drive 2 hours from Chicago, come to our forest and realize that maybe this isn't for them, when they could have taken a 5-minute phone call with somebody and learned that. But we are more than happy to have somebody come out here and learn about us. As the general manager of this forest, it is my job to show people around, spread the good word about Better Place Forests, and really give people show people the best of what this forest has to offer and what what the company has to offer. I'm here 5 days a week, Thursday through Monday. I take Tuesdays and Wednesdays off, so scheduling on the weekend is usually not an issue at all. It does get a little, scheduling gets a little bit weird in this forest during the winter time because, it's winter and sometimes we have a lot of snow and ice and frozen ground. Nobody wants to be out here at that time. But that's something that we can talk about if you do need to come out during the winter. So part of what Better Place Forests offers is an in-forest memorial. So not only can you spread ashes at a tree, at your very own memorial tree, we can also hold a ceremony for the decedent. What that usually looks like, we don't usually have 100 people in our forests at a time. Usually these are more of a tight-knit group, maybe close family and some friends. We typically have between, I would say, 10 and 25 to 30 guests at a time for each memorial. And what that looks like is once everybody's kind of ready to get started, we all walk down as a group to this memorial table overlooking the Rock River. And I am facilitating this process. I take the decedent's ashes, and I'm usually with a partner here, and we add cremated remains to one of these vessels. Slowly but surely, we pour ashes into this vessel, and as I'm doing that, my partner here will take a scoop of soil from our forest. This is soil that's been sifted, so we don't have too many big pieces inside of it. We add that to our vessel, mix it, and then invite the family and friends to come up and add some dried flowers, and also add a scoop of soil or two if they want. This is a collaborative process. You know, I really encourage people to come up and participate, even if they do so just a little bit. You know, all depends on the person's comfort level. And you'd actually be surprised at how many people might not like the idea, and then they get up here and they actually do want to participate. It can be very cathartic for people.
So how many acres is this Rock River location?
We have 60 acres of land here in the Rock River Forest, about half of which is available to tour today. Okay. The other half is, you know, we just started operations, you know, a couple years ago, and we wanted to make, you know, this available as quickly as possible. And there's plenty of stuff to tour here. 30 acres is quite a lot.
And tell me how this all began. I mean, the backstory says, you know, somebody didn't like the big city life of cemeteries. So tell me all of that. Give me the back history here.
Yeah. So one of our co-founders, his name is Sandy Gibson. He was visiting his parents' gravesite in Toronto. It was a traditional cemetery. He had the headstones on the ground, and he was trying to have this peaceful moment, and all he could hear were cars and buses and trucks driving on the highway right next door, you know, right not too far away, and said, like, not to be cliche, but there has to be a better place.
There's got to be a better way.
Yep. And that's kind of legitimately how the idea was born. And so Sandy and a group of his colleagues formed Better Place Forests. We started our first forest in 2015 in Point Arena, California. It's on the Mendocino coast. Really, really beautiful area. And we just grew from there. We started opening more forests. We have plenty in California, one in Flagstaff, Arizona, this one here in Northern Illinois, one in Minnesota, and two on the East Coast.
Okay. Nice.
Part of what we do in the forest and kind of showing people around, I don't know if this, you know, translated well on the video, but Kari and I just walked into the forest, just, you know, maybe 50 yards or so, and you can start seeing a couple things in our forest. Each one of our trees has a little green tag on it. We call these Arbor Tags. They're just put into the tree with a nail, and each one has a number. That is a good way for us to tell exactly what the tree is, how much it costs, if it's taken or not, if it has been sold, if it has any diseases, if it has any health concerns. We can kind of generally tell the height as well. You know, it's really hard to tell the age of a tree. But yeah, so basically what we can do is, if you're interested in tree number 388, I can just type it into my system and say, oh, this is a legacy size shagbark hickory tree. It's available. No ashes are spread at it. And the colored tags down here, we have an orange one here, dark blue over here. Those kind of help, they're a visual aid to help people understand what trees are available and what size they're looking for. So yeah, if you have a specific price point in mind, then you can you know, just say, okay, I'm just looking for the light blue tags, or I'm looking for you know, the largest tree in the forest, so I'm going to seek out a yellow tag. And that's a really good way to tell in the forest. Otherwise, it can get a little overwhelming. So I always like to show off this tree to people when they come into the forest. I think this is an incredible representation of what Better Place Forest offers, and kind of what your memorial tree could look like. So this is a big, beautiful white oak tree. It's right on the river, right next to a path, but not right on the path. It's gorgeous. It's healthy. The woman who chose this tree for her husband chose it because this is a little seat, and because it's a beautiful heart shape as well. I don't think you can get any better than this. It's just a really lovely. After a memorial takes place, we place a little marker in the ground um, that can help celebrate the life of whoever is laid to rest here. Um, the family can customize this memorial marker. There is, they are a bit small, so you do have a character limit. Um, but essentially, these all kind of look similar. So we have the Better Place Forest tree logo up here, the tree number 366, and then usually people choose the first and last name, birth and death dates, and then a quote or a saying or a poem. And these are driven into the ground after the memorial. They don't move at all. They're pretty solidly in the ground. And we also make sure not to hit any roots. We don't want to harm the trees in any way. So if we hit a root, then we move it over and until we don't. Elsewhere, I do want to point out this area over here. So this is, these are the ashes of this decedent. These ashes were placed here last June. And for those of you watching, we are in early August. So it's been a little bit over a year that these ashes have been on the ground. What we do when we prepare for a memorial is we come to the tree. Of course, we remove things like poison ivy and any vines that could get caught on pant legs or something. Kind of clear the area out a little bit without disturbing the forest too much. And then we create this little nest on the side of the tree. This nest is just made from, any leaves that we have lying around. We try to include the same leaves that are from your tree or around the tree. So in this case, there are lots of oak leaves around here. We've basically created a nest. And again, this has been here for a little over a year. So this isn't exactly what it looks like when a memorial takes place. But after we mix the soil and ashes together, we all walk up to the memorial tree together. And we spread the ashes within the nest. Again, we don't bury anything in our forest, but we do spread them in the nest. So what you see here is are ashes that have been seeping into the forest floor, becoming part of the forest floor for a little bit over a year. And my guess is by this time next year, you might not be able to see anything, anything in this location. It'll just look like the forest floor. Afterwards, we invite everybody to come up and sow wildflower seeds around the area. We don't allow any outside species of flowers to be planted out here. We only allow native plants to be put in our forest. So even that is, kind of part of this is that you're not actually able to bring in like a bouquet of flowers from a nearby flower shop. You would need to come to us. We would give you some wildflower seeds to sow at your memorial tree if you wish.
Just meandering through the forest. It's so pretty and it is peaceful. You can hear some traffic, but like today there is zero wind. We are literally, don't get sick. I mean, the Rock River is right there. We're walking along the river. There's benches. So is this next to someone's
Yeah, absolutely.
tree?
So part of the prep work that our in-forest teams do for families that come to visit is we when we know that you're coming to the forest, so we always try to get people to kind of call ahead or schedule online, just say, hey, I'm coming around 1 p.m. today. That way we can go out to your tree. If it's been a while since you've been at your tree, we can clear out any prickly invasive species or poison ivy, stuff like that, so you don't have to really worry too much.
Just talking about getting out here into the forest, I mean, 60 acres, it's not ginormous, but to go walk that, especially if you're elderly. And Jimmy's mentioned walkie-talkies. There's a vehicle that can come out here into the forest. And so when you schedule ahead, when you get out here, that vehicle is available and he can drive you out to your location. You can borrow a walking stick. You can take walkie-talkies. So that way, if you get out in the forest, if you get lost, or you just don't have energy to walk back, you can call for a ride. If he needs to send out search and rescue, just kidding. But they are accommodating you whenever you are coming out to visit. So that way you can get to your loved one's location, you can spend some time, and you can make the most of your visit out here. So let's talk cost.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of my first thoughts is, a lot of people who choose cremation choose it for expense sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And they want maybe lower cost options. Not always the case. Some people just love cremation. This is definitely not a low cost option to come out here and to have a space. What are you finding, I guess, with people? Are they questioning pricing? What are you finding? City people, country people more?
Mm-hmm.
Country people, I would think, have trees out back that they would maybe go do this at. So of what are you finding in terms of how the consumer, or who the consumer is, I guess?
Yeah, I'll address that in a couple different parts. So again, I'm kind of speaking on behalf of our Rock River Forest because we're here, and this is mostly what I know.
Right.
But we do have 8 other forests across the United States, some of which price a little bit higher, some of which price a little bit lower, depending on where you go, and kind of the demographic that we're trying to serve there. It also depends on how many people are choosing this as an option. I would say it is a little bit of a, the cost of entry for just one person is about $5,000. However, it is much more cost effective if you are able to add more people to your tree. So for instance, one tree would cost in this forest, starting price would be $4,900. To add another person would be $1,500. So that the next person in your group wouldn't need to purchase that same introductory cost. They would just need to purchase an extra spreading at the tree. So it does actually become a lot more cost effective for a family tree, for instance, which we have quite a few of in this forest. So I have found that there are quite a few people in our forest, especially that maybe a great grandparent or grandparent comes in and purchases a memorial tree for themselves, or just for the two of them, husband and wife or something, and they don't have any family members who are completely on board with it for themselves. That maybe their grandson doesn't have end of life plans because he's 7 years old. But we do have a way to allow the tree owners to open it up to family members, anybody related by blood or by marriage, to purchase a spreading at their tree in the future. So even if it's not in the cards right now, somebody could leave it open to family members to essentially get into our forest for that $1,500, $2,500 price point, without actually having to buy their own memorial tree.
So the grandparents can pre-purchase that for them and give them the rights to later be placed there?
Yeah, they can either purchase it at the time that they come into the forest, or they can just purchase it for themselves. and sign a document on our website that basically it's called our owner's authorization form, and there you can designate who can purchase spreadings at your tree in the future.
Gotcha.
So you can, really leave it up to people to make their own decisions later on in life if they want. And if nobody takes advantage of that, then it's just going to be you two at the tree.
So country folk, city folk, who's coming out here?
I would say a very good mixture at this forest. I really like this location because, we are in the well-known town of Oregon, Illinois, near Byron, Illinois, near Dixon, Illinois. Maybe not a lot of you have heard of that.
Oregon, Illinois is quite charming. I stayed here last night. I'm just going to throw that in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, has lots of hidden gems.
Yeah,
very good,
cool.
very good brewery here.
Yes.
So, we do get, quite a few locals here, people from the greater Rockford, Illinois area. We even have people from Madison, Milwaukee, Southern Illinois. Kind of the state of Better Place Forests right now is that, at least in Northern Illinois, this is kind of the closest option for people in like Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, or Wisconsin even. If you're a little bit up north, you'll probably go to our St. Croix Valley, Minnesota location. But since we are about 2 hours away from Chicago, so we do have quite a few people who are from the city that either spent time out here in Ogle County as kids, or they're just looking for an option that's not too far away from where they live. Also, I will say that if you live in the city of Chicago, you deal with Chicago traffic. A 2-hour drive isn't like that
no big
crazy.
Deal. No big deal.
So.
Yeah. So how many are you doing of these a year?
How many memorials?
Yeah.
So we've only done it for 2 years. So, it's always going to be different. I would say last year when we first started up operations full time here, we had about 30 memorials. And some of those memorials had multiple people being spread at the same time. We also allow pets at to be spread at your memorial tree. So we have probably 2.5 dozen pets spread in our forest. Lots of dogs, lots of cats. That definitely varies depending on the forest you go to. A Better Place Forests. We've had birds, a horse, a donkey. We've had lots of crazy things go on here.
So tell us a little about your background and what are you doing every day out here? You're not having services every single day and
correct.
Placement every day. So kind of what's your day look like?
Yeah. So my background is that I simply came to Better Place Forests because I became very passionate about helping others through grief. I lost somebody very close to me in 2021, and that was really the first experience I had with loss that hit me on such a personal level. So I started reading about grief. I was grieving before he even died, and I read a lot of books, listened to a lot of podcasts, and because I knew it would hit me very hard. So once the death happened, it was a little bit easier because I kind of knew what was okay and what wasn't okay, what were healthy boundaries and what weren't. So that's what kind of brought me to Better Place Forests. And I think the mission that we have here at Better Place Forests is kind of what keeps me in it, what keeps me going. There's also the lovely fact that I work in a forest 5 days a week, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I get to hike the trails when I need a break. I work with a lot of local contractors and different companies in the area to come out and help with invasive species management. Running a forest isn't just clearing the trails. It's clearing out invasive species and making sure they don't come back year after year. We also frequently check the health of trees. So as we mentioned, we have lots and lots of trees in this forest, and we need to make sure that things are moving in the right direction, that no diseases are introduced to our forest. So I'm actually meeting with some arborists next week to come out for a couple hours and just walk the trails with me, point out anything that really needs to be addressed soon. That's also kind of part of my day-to-day routine is walking the forest and understanding it and learning about it. So but I'm only so good at that, and so I need to rely on professionals to come in and help me, tell me, or to figure out what needs to be done to facilitate a healthy, thriving forest over time.
So this is privately owned land. What is the assurance, just like any cemetery type place, what is the assurance that this will not be sold, and this, the perpetual existence of this place for me to be able to come out and visit my loved one? What is in place for all of that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's a question that a lot of people have. So Better Place Forests is working on establishing conservation easements in all 9 of our forests. So what that means is we are working on legal agreements with local trusted partners. So in this case, we're working with a trusted entity in Ogle County. And once we have that agreement in place, that will ensure that if anything were to happen to Better Place Forests in the future, that tree owners would still have access to their memorial trees.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. From what I understand, I'm no legal expert, but from what I understand, those take a very long time to set up. We also have 9 of them to do. And remember, this forest just started a couple of years ago, so it's an ongoing process, and we'll be sure to kind of notify everybody once that's actually in place, but it is something we're actively working on.
Huge thank you to Jimmy and everyone here at Better Place Forests. What a beautiful location. So great to be here, experience, walk through the forest, see the trees that you can purchase, having the right and access to for spreading cremated remains around for you, for your loved one, for your family, for your pets. As Jimmy said earlier, he recommends you get online, request an appointment, get on the phone with him so he can answer questions for you about this forest, or you can be connected to someone in a forest closer to where you are. And then when you come on site, you can have selected a few different trees that you want to see in person. You can walk through and experience the forest just like I did today. You can see all of the natural beauty that is here. If a tree falls, they leave it unless it's covering a path. It is so pretty. Thank you for having me here, for allowing me to share this with everybody. What questions do you have about Better Place Forests?